What's up, Cloud Gamers? Welcome to another episode of CGX Cast. If you guys didn't know what this is or what we do here, it is a cloud gaming podcast. As you guys can see, we have three people on the panel today, so we kind of short with people potentially from the channel. JP and Chief might join later on. Duncan also, but if it doesn't. If that doesn't happen, that's totally cool as well, because I feel like if you have three people, you can get more discussions on each topic. So we'll see how that plays out. And this might be a shorter one because, again, we have three people, but we have so much to talk about. But before we do, let's check in with the members of the panel, see how they do and see what they're playing, and also check in to see what content creators that they've been watching as of late. So to get started, Jerry, how are you, sir? What games have you been playing? What platform? Also, what content creator have you been watching as of late?
Yeah, it's still sluggish from the holiday for some reason. January is always like slow moving for me to get back into things. Game wise, Man Eater, I am playing through again on PS5. I beat that on PC last summer. Just really like that game. So I've been playing through that. As far as Cloud, though, I've been playing Scott Pilgrim the past couple of days. It's a game I played probably like 10 years ago, a good bit on the Xbox 360. And
Yeah.
I've been playing that on Geforce Now and Stadia through Ubisoft Connect. But unfortunately, they didn't put a cross save in there. So I'm playing two
Ooh,
different. Yeah, I was surprised when I
that
jumped in on
sucks.
that. But either way, it's not like it's that long or that difficult. So I've just been enjoying kind of playing that on both.
Okay. So
Um,
keep going.
not too much on content. I have been catching up on Duncan and Rock because he was having me on, so I was like trying to catch up on things they've been doing. And 8-Bit Eric, I watched a good bit of 8-Bit Eric here and there, and I've been catching up on the stuff that he's been putting out. But
Nice,
that's about it.
nice. Cool, cool. So going back and playing Scott Pilgrim, how was that? Any nostalgia feeling for you?
The game has obviously aged as a lot of those kind of games that kind of come back out are, but yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know how many times I watched that stupid movie just over and over
Yeah.
back then, me and my friends, and just playing the game. So yeah, definitely nostalgia. Any game like that, I'll always pick up and play for at least a couple of weeks just because of that factor. So
Cool, cool. Well, so let's check in with you, sir. What have you been playing? What platform? Also, what content creator have you been watching as of
So,
late?
yeah, so I agree. It's been quite slow this January with games. It's not really been really excited to play on the cloud front. So this week I actually jumped into Fire Emblem Three Houses on the Switch,
Ooh,
and I've put about 30 hours in. And I thought to myself, because it's part of my backlog, I just went, "You're going to finish this game before you buy it. Before you buy a similar game."
right,
That's what my news resolution is. I'm going to
right.
stop buying games until I start plowing through big, huge chunks of games.
There you
So yeah,
go.
I've just been having a really good blast. Just it's quite easy to play. We just move turn-based characters and sort of just do magic and attacks in like an
Yeah,
RPG style. So it's just quite relaxing just to do that with a bit of podcast and music in the background,
yeah,
because the cinematics don't really kick until like the end of the month, so it's not really that
yeah.
hard to do. And the person I've been following this week, I've been watching Stadia Dosage this week on his views and opinions of like the news and articles of the week. So he was talking about like Forbes and people's perception of maybe saying like Stadia is a nice inclusion to next
Next
generation
gen, yeah.
or stuff like that, and then just seeing how people react and how he reacts and that. So it was just very interesting this week just to listen to his take on stuff.
Yeah, high energy, man. Always a pleasure watching steady dosage stuff for
And I
sure.
just love it when he says something like a joke and he laughs and you're like, yeah, that
Yeah,
was good as well. He's not afraid. He's not afraid to throw a bit of comedy in it, and
right.
his guests, are, such great as well. So
Yeah,
Project Storm usually and stuff like that. So
for sure. Good stuff. Good stuff. So Duncan, let's check in with you, sir. What have you been playing? What um content? I mean, jeez, what platform have you been using? Played also what content creator?
Okay. Oh, I just realised my mic is fallen down, so that would sort of help if I put it
Maybe.
back up again. Yeah, I have been playing on Shadow a lot at this moment in time. I think it's just because of the games on there which I have bought. And the content creator I have been watching is Hell Monkey and his racing streams. That's the game I've been playing mostly on Stadia at the moment. Is F1 2020. I've been sucked into that, and it's pretty good, bar the glitches on it. But
your mic went muted. Your mic is muted, Dunk. You're good.
Something's just went wrong.
You're good. So keep going. We didn't hear your last part.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't? Oof. Let's see. Hello, hello. Mic check, mic check. Mic check. Can you hear us?
I can hear you great.
Okay.
It's funny, I've had that happen with my earbuds where I lose all audio from like StreamYard.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's
can hear him.
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me type that in so he will know. We'll just probably keep it rolling when he gets back. We'll check in. Let me just let him know we can hear him. All right, cool. So, Holtz, back to you though. You were talking about Fire Emblem Three Houses for the Switch. That actually was a game that I picked up, and I put in about 2 hours and never went back to playing it. Is it worth going back and playing, like story-wise? Because I'm a story buff, and so the cutscenes looks incredible. But I was realizing, like you were saying, it's not a lot of them, right? It only comes like at the end of each scene, right? So, would you recommend going back and playing that game?
Well, like any RPGs, a lot of people sit there and go, oh, you have to get a few hours in to warm up. So I can understand putting a few on and being turned off by it, because there's a lot of repetition of fetch quests, and I don't really like fetch quests in RPGs.
Right.
And you go to like the same generic monastery and you run round on a month, and then you level up your characters just ready for a few battles, and that becomes very repetitive.
It does.
So fast. But the whole point is, if you actually want to go for like a story narrative, it really is good. But it depends on the type of person. I mean, there's been some times where I wanted to put it down, but I'm like, I'm not really going to buy Disgaea 6 unless I finish Fire Emblem. Yeah. And I feel on my Switch, I've got like 65 games on my Switch, and I feel like that I actually do put a few hours in loads of games, really enjoy them, and then simply get distracted. And I usually just go to like more AAA titles. That's not saying the Switch doesn't have amazing games, because of course they do. But sometimes I just get distracted. So now I'm just actually focusing why there's no new games roughly being announced for the cloud. I'm just focusing on this handheld device.
Right.
And it's just good to relax. A few hours per week will add up over time, and I'll actually finish it. So,
sure.
I mean, 30 hours is actually quite a lot this week. So hopefully, I think, but it's only 50. So usually when I get into the swing of things, especially with RPGs, I can complain one week that I'm not playing enough games. Then when it comes to an RPG, like Final Fantasy VII, for example, I can put easy 7-8 hours a day because I'm addicted to it. So it depends on my mood and how the game actually, entertains me, should I say.
Okay. Did you ever try Valkyrie Chronicles 4?
Yeah, I've got Valkyrie Chronicles. I've actually played all 1 to 4. But I only owe 4 on the Switch. The rest is on PC.
Okay. Do you, comparing it to that? Sorry that we're Switch stuff, but I'm just curious. Comparing it to that, which do you think is a better game?
I'd say Valkyrie Chronicles.
Over.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Cool. All right, Dunk, are you there yet? Mic check. You good? You still muted?
Yes, I'm muted, but yes.
Okay.
What happened is I lost all my audio, so I couldn't hear anybody. So it is an absolute nightmare when that happens, because I'm actually using AirPods tonight. That's something different. So things on. But yeah, where was I? One of my rants. I was just playing about on Shadow as well this week, and Geforce Now with Planet Base. Planet Base, we're probably coming to later in the show, is a brilliant base building game. It is just simplistic fun, and you can just go there and build up everything. And I've stuck over 100 hours over that, over lots of different platforms. I absolutely love that game, so I was giving it a try on Geforce Now.
Okay, cool. So I'm just getting a note that that there's no shot, and so you guys, sorry about that. I think I just fixed it. JP was just giving me a heads up on the Discord. But the chat should be fixed now. It says I do see it says chat disabled. I don't know why. But let me just make sure. All right, there we go. We should be good. All right, so we do have chat now. Sorry about that, fellas. All right, so let's get me personally. I have been playing Cyberpunk, right? Got some free time the last couple of 2 nights, and so trying to catch up. I got what, like 23 hours now in Cyberpunk, so almost getting there. Almost getting there. And then went back to Maximus settings. I would say I've been bummed out trying to get my Shadow Infinite and Ultra. That I said, screw it. I'm not gonna wait for you guys anymore. They were supposed to be here by the end of last year. So I went back to max settings, and I'm gonna use that primarily for my virtual PC until Shadow Infinite becomes available. So I just went out there, and what I did was I pretty much put all my Xbox games on there. So again, has 2000 rig in the cloud. Again, you can get your 4K, you can get your HDR. So that's where I'm playing all my Game Pass games because again, I want the best looking games on my devices. And Shadow, I love it, but that 1080 rig is just not cutting it for me anymore. As far as content creator, just been watching the Nerf Report. Again, if you guys haven't checked out Brian Deere, he does some good work. So definitely give him a look. Eddie right now is hosting a pretty killer Outcasters tournament. And so if you guys were interested in that game, definitely check Outcasters out. So those are the content creators that I've been watching as of late. But let's get into this. We got some stuff to talk about. JP, member of the channel, might be joining us in a little bit, but let's talk about some Geforce news, right? 13 games was released for the Geforce Now platform. Those games are Scott Pilgrim is the World. This also was released on Google Stadia, right? Amongst Us from the Epic Game Store, Assassin's Creed Rogue from the Epic Game Store, Car Mechanicus Simulated 2000. I feel like this game already came out previously. Dicey Dungeons, Heroes of the Three Kingdoms, Jurassic World, Evolution, Medieval Dynasty Epic, Metro 2033 Epic, Night in the Woods, Planet Base, Tropical 5, Warframe. Most of these games are Epic Game Store games. So members of the panel, did you guys actually get a chance to play any of these games? And if so, which one did you pick up? So we'll start with Holtz.
No, I looked at this list and I thought to myself, there's nothing really that I want to pick up. I mean, I was quite happy to see Tropico 5 and Jurassic Park World Evolution be added because I got them free over the Christmas gifts. So, you can't argue with a free game. I haven't tested them yet, but I don't really think I'm really excited to actually dive in this week to play actually Geforce Now with this list of games, to be honest. And it's not that the list is actually terrible. It's just not for me as that type of game. I mean, I see, loads of games there that will very interest my friends or other people, but for me, it's sort of like, I won't play nothing this week.
Okay. How about you, Duncan? What's your take on these games? Did you pick any of them up? Any of them catch your interest?
I think this is a pretty good week to tell you the truth. Last week we got our update, what we're going to get all for the month, and we've got some Brucey bonuses here this week as well with Assassin's Creed Rogue, that Medieval Dynasty, and there was another one that will come to me, that Heroes of the Three Kingdoms 8. For me, I love Planet Base, like I just said. It is just a game you can sit down to. It looks really simplistic. It looks like a complete easy peasy base building game, but there's just something about it. It's not the greatest one which has ever been made, but it just gets you sucked in. And I really enjoy that game. I'm a big sucker for Assassin's Creed games, so getting that on the Epic Game Store, that's good news as well. I wonder if that's going to be a free game down the line, if it hasn't already been.
Your mic went to mute again, Duncan. Sorry. Sorry, hold on.
I think it happened again.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get to. Did we cover you, Jerry?
Not yet.
Get to Jerry in this one. When Duncan comes in, we'll
Yeah, that's
get him
fine.
back.
Talk about the week of catching up Epic Game Store games, because a lot
Yeah.
of these were there from Steam, like Metro and stuff already. But you know, it's nice for the people that have either gotten free games over the holidays or before that, or really have invested in their Epic Game Store library versus Steam to have
Right.
more of these come over there. So I thought it was a really
Yeah.
good week too. And of the 13 games, yeah, 3 of them were bonuses above the 23 that they announced.
Yeah.
3 of these games on here weren't even on our original list of 23, so that would say maybe 26 games for January unless something else changes. Scott Pilgrim, like I said, was one because I didn't have to buy that with Ubisoft Connect, and I was able to just jump in on Geforce Now and play it. It's obviously an easy game to run, so no real testing needed. It just runs perfectly. It does so on Stadia as well.
Right.
Games like Planet Base, absolutely. That game is addictive, but also Jurassic World. Those type of games are really cool on a service like this because they don't rely so much on fast-paced movement, latency issues like FPS games and that type of thing. So I think games like this actually work really well on something like GeForce Now. So a pretty good week.
Do you know what? I was actually looking today when we on the show notes, it's like 800 games on GeForce Now. So I thought to myself, wow, that's such a large number. So let's see what I actually like on GeForce Now. And I only tallied like 61 games up at the 800, and 37 of them was Ubisoft Connect games. And I was being generous with picking like Assassin's Creed 1, Far Cry 1, Tom Clancy games. So I was quite generous. But when I was going down the list, I was like, wow. This service has got so many building, animal, bridge, vehicle simulators, and I was thinking to myself, it literally is a good platform for people who actually like simulating games.
Yeah. True. So I think we've talked about this in this channel quite a lot actually, where we say it's all about which games that you present, and I want to check in with you, Duncan, because I believe this is where you were going, right? You were saying with these 13 games, they didn't really interest you, and your whole saying is like content is key, right? So I see you shaking your head. Are you connected yet, Duncan, or no? Okay, so let's get back to you. See what you have to say about this GeForce Now news.
Hopefully this doesn't die on me again. So I went up and actually, I don't know what's going on here. It seems to be changing what input or output it's going to. So hopefully it doesn't do it again. GeForce Now, I think it's great again that we have it all. I think the games are dead on. I think everybody was saying there, the Planet Base, I absolutely love that. Pick that up if you can, if you're into base building games. And the other ones, I'm just paranoid now I'm going to drop off. Again, the other games are absolutely fine for me. I think it's a good month or good week, and we've got the extra games which we didn't know which were coming as well. So I think it's GeForce Now are stepping it up again. So it is good to see. I know we've got more games coming over.
Oh no, it happened again. Heck. So overall, just to summarize what he was saying, I think you're impressed by the games coming to GeForce Now. You were saying this was a good week for GeForce Now. So cool. Me personally, just to give you guys a roundup of my thoughts on this week, I thought it was okay. Not the best. Again, it's pretty cool to see, games from Epic being available. But when I saw this list, I was like, man, didn't we get this game before? Didn't we get this game before? Didn't we, it felt like repeated games. And so to me, I was like, but the truth of the matter is, if you guys only have this game on Epic Game Store now, right, you can experience it on GeForce Now. So again, I can't be too selfish, thinking only about myself. I have to think about others. And I think for you guys who have these games in Epic, it's pretty cool to see them make their way on GeForce Now for you guys. So cool.
But I was wondering when I seen this kind of list in the games available, I was like, does out of 800 games, does they actually count, say, Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed, Steam, and Assassin's Creed?
Yeah,
Do they count as three
that
separate games
that
from
is
different
actually
libraries?
that is exactly what I was thinking, because that is in a way not cool.
Yeah, because when I
Yeah,
was going down the list, I was going, there's a lot of repeats, depends on which library you use in your Steam,
right.
Ubisoft, for Epic. But I'm like, it doesn't look like there's 800.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So that's a good question. But before we got JP on here, Dusty from the CGX channel, he's gonna join, and I do want to get his take on here. So we're gonna pull him in real quick. JP, what's up? Can you hear us? Your mic is muted. Mic check 1 2 1 2. We have.
So at least,
Yo, what's up, guys?
so at least it's just not me having issues, and that's always good. It's not just me.
We're
Can
having
you hear
some
me?
technical yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Great. So just checking in Geforce Now News 13 games released. Just wondering, did you get a chance to look at any of these games? Any of them interest you, or you excited about? Did you play any of them?
I'm the two games specifically that I'm looking forward to is Scott Pilgrim and Jurassic World Evolution. I haven't played either one of them yet, just been really busy over the last couple of days, but I'm excited to jump in both of them. Jurassic World for me is like a family favorite sort of thing. Long story short, my dad worked in the movie industry, so he actually worked on the original Jurassic Park movies. So ever since then, Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones has always been a huge staple in our family. So to get Jurassic World Evolution, I was just so psyched about it. And then I like retro beat 'em up style games. So for Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I'm excited to jump in that one. But no, I have not tested either one of them yet.
Okay, cool. So would you say this is a good week for Geforce Now?
I would. Um, it's a good start to the new year, especially considering that Google Stadia has had a very
Quiet.
I feel like lackluster is such a generic word to use, but it's just been such a cold start for Stadia. So for GeForce Now, it was exciting to see them bring that many games and for them to, do what they did at the CES event, and it should be a lot of exciting things going forward.
Cool. Awesome. Again, glad that we can pull you in for this one. So that's the Geforce Now news. Members of the panel, if I'm missing anything on here, just let me know. We're gonna move right into Google Stadia, because again, quiet week when it comes to them using their blogs to make announcement, but overall I felt like there were some decent stuff that was happening behind the scenes with Stadia. So let's get into some of those things, right? So to get started for Stadia, by the way, just before I go to Stadia, I forgot to mention this. So the 6 million active users, and again, this was announced at CES when NVIDIA held their president. So 6 million users. Again, this is a 1 million user increase from the latest numbers in November, right, when Cyberpunk released. So again, kudos to the Geforce Now team for this. And also, like we've stated here, 800 games are available for the platform now, but like Holt was saying, is it actually 800 games, or are they just like counting same games from different stores, right? So again, that's to be seen, but just want to highlight that before we move into Google Stadia news. Right, so for Stadia, Breakpoint has a free-to-play weekend starting from Go ahead.
Can I actually just jump in when we said the 6 million?
Yeah.
Just like the 800 games, I'm very skeptical with what GeForce Now is actually saying, because I was mentioning this last week. I'm like, 6 million. Okay, that's a big, huge, successful number for me, especially with that growth rate. And I'm like, but why don't you tell us how many are paid subscribers? I would like to see that. Are people really interested in actually subbing to this platform service to actually help it develop to get the games that are more triple A? Because I'm like, okay, I'm glad that people are enjoying the free tier, but I'll be a bit worried if 4 million, 4.55 million are actually free players. So I actually would like them to actually start coming out and start telling us what the percentage is free compared to subbed.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And realistically, if they want to play that game, I'm curious to know how many members Google Stadia has, right? Just being realistic, all you need is a Gmail account, really. And I'm sure a lot of people have popped in the Gmail account. So to be fair, right, if Stadia released their numbers based on just the free base and Gmail accounts, that can be a large number. So good point with that. Again, anyone feel free to jump on if you have other Geforce Now stuff that I didn't cover. But Stadia news. Breakpoint free-to-play weekend starting for pro members. Again, we've talked about the pro membership in this free-to-play weekend. So starting January 21st until the 25th, pro members can get to experience Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Breakpoint on Google Stadia. So just want to talk to the members of this panel and see if this is something you guys are excited about. It's so interesting because there's a member that we have on here who plays this game religiously, but he's not on today. So I want to check in with Ben on this, but we'll check in with you guys. So Duncan, what's your take on this news? Hopefully your mic is working. What's your take on this news? Duncan, you there? Mic check. No? All right. Jerry, what's your take on this news?
Ghost Recon Breakpoint. While not the best game, it does play really well on Stadia, and I do wish Ben was here because as soon as I saw that, I was like, "This is his baby." He religiously play this, like what Rogue Company is to you, or before Cyberpunk, before trying to play that, you were always on Rogue Company.
Yeah,
and this is like his game.
yeah.
I still have an issue with the pro thing. And I know we argue that if it was just free, it would flood the servers and so on and so forth. But we got to kind of get over that. Free play weekends need to be for everyone because if someone saw how well this game played on Stadia, they're more likely to want to be a pro member or to continue something with Stadia. If they have to become a pro member to play the game for free, it's a barrier. I was talking about barriers earlier today, and they stop people quickly. We want no barriers to get people in, especially with cloud gaming, because so many people are still so skeptical even after Cyberpunk. So, I don't like that barrier, but I do love the free-to-play weekends. I think it's a great game to have free-to-play. I just wish everyone could give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Dusty, what's your take on this free-to-play Breakpoint on Stadia weekend?
I mean, I have Ubisoft Plus, so I don't really play Breakpoint to begin with, but because Stadia is doing the free-to-play weekend, it might actually encourage me to jump in. Because for people that don't know out there, if you have Ubisoft Plus, the game is pretty much automatic to you on Stadia and other platforms. So yeah, this might cause me to jump in. It's not a bad game or anything like that. I just appreciate Wildlands a little bit more. But yeah, I think it should be an exciting weekend for Stadia members, especially new users, because I know there's a lot of new users out there who have seen the Tom Clancy games and have probably wanted to play them. So this gives them a great opportunity to hop in. So.
For sure. Have you tried Wildlands and Stadia?
Yeah, I did a little bit.
How is the online? Can you actually find people to play that game with online on Stadia?
When I jumped in, actually, there were people playing. Same thing on, what was it? Was it Geforce Now? I think. Yeah, there were quite a few people on. It didn't seem bad. I was just kind of testing out the game because I hadn't really played it before, so I wasn't paying attention heavily on that front as far as how was the online play. But yeah, it wasn't bad when I did play it.
Okay. The reason I ask is because I was in Discord saying Stadia needs some competitive shooters, and I didn't even think about this game because, again, this game had a really big cult following when it comes to its online multiplayer. So I'm wondering, are people actually playing the online on this in Google Stadia? And again, I think Ubisoft and the Stadia team kind of shot themselves in the foot by not making this a cross-platform play game, because again,
I agree.
easily have solved that issue.
I agree. I would say it seems as if more people are jumping in over time. Kind of like a 2K21 type of situation, in a sense. Like what you had shown recently with all the courts being full, which is still crazy to me. But I would, it's not as heavy, but I would say it's probably more of a slow rollout of a player base, for Stadia.
Right. By the way, you mentioned 2K, so I'm just going to quickly address this. If you guys haven't been following that game on Stadia, but there's huge controversy with the roster not being updated when all of the other consoles were. Guess what? They updated it, but they broke the game. No. They broke the game. They broke the game. You can't play online. You get booted every time you try to play part game. So the growth that we saw after Cyberpunk and the amount of people that came to the 2K community is now dead. If you go in 2K, no matter what time it is, there's hardly anyone on because you can't play the game. It's broken. I think 2K is the worst dev right now on the Google Stadia platform. Their games are just not that well optimized, and they need to do something about that for sure.
Well, luckily, they actually did put out a statement. I don't know, I'm not too sure when it's coming out, but they did put out a statement saying that they are going to address the issues. First, it was the roster update, but then they said they're going to be putting out a full patch. Hopefully, that comes out this month. Honestly, in my opinion, not to get off topic or anything, but 2K games is just not in my top 10 list and hasn't been for a long time. I kind of feel the same way about Madden games, just because it's a very big copy and paste situation. And, a lot of the times we get into these issues of bugs and, not being updated on time and rosters being, out of sync. Both EA with Madden and 2K, they just really, really need an overhaul. Really, it's really bad. Bring NBA Live back.
Yeah, right. It's not. So Ethan says 2K's put gambling in an NBA game. It's definitely a pay to win game for sure. And I can tell you, they got me. I can't tell you how much I've put into that game. But let's keep this moving with Breakpoint. Host, did we tackle you on this?
No, but this game's starting to do my head in now because, I'm really glad it's a free weekend, but it's a shame it's locked behind Pro. I think what Google needs to do is allocate certain percentages of free servers, blades, and just say, first come, first serve to test this game in your area. But to me, seeing Breakpoint, I'm pretty sure like this is the second, maybe third time Breakpoint's been free to play, or to me, it just feels like it's always there. And I feel with this game, the Ultimate, I think it was last month, went on really, really cheap. The gold edition of the Ultimate went really, really cheap. And it's part of the Ubisoft Connect library. So I feel if the Ubisoft Connect and proper heavily discounted doesn't work for this game, I don't think it ever will. No matter how much you offer for it. I think we should just move on from this game and think, Ubisoft, you messed up at the start. You didn't. No one was really interested. You've tried heavily discounted. You've tried it to be part of a service, and it's not working. So I wish that they offered us a different free-to-play game. Weekend.
I agree. They've tried. They've tried to bring this game back to life multiple times, but I'll be real. The game is just not. What's his name? Ben will probably hate me for saying this, but to me personally, I don't think it's a great game. I mean, it has its good times, but it's just not. I mean, I paid full price for the game, and I think I've only put in like 2 or 3 hours into it.
And as we mentioned, it's probably going to go on sale next week, and I hope that next week when it goes on sale, just keep it at the low price. Just keep it there. Stop hiking it back up, pretending it's a must-have game. Just leave it down price, and just let's hopefully a lot of people maybe at $14 want to jump in outside of subscriptions, and let's hopefully that works.
What I think they should do, and Ubi again. I don't think we've ever seen a Ubisoft game as pro game, but this would be the greatest pro game ever. You see a lot of people jump on it. You'll see a lot of people, the number grow to where hopefully online won't be an issue. They should do with this what they did with Destiny, prolong the pro, like make this like a 2 or 3, maybe 6-month pro game. Fill
Just
up the
give me
servers.
And I feel it's not just breakpoints. I feel the same with Crew 2. Just
Yeah.
drop it. Just ridiculously drop the price or put it in a pro for 6 months and let's see. Because once it goes pro, as you just mentioned, for like a long duration, people will go, well, now it's there. I
Yeah.
will invest time in it, but a weekend ain't going to help this game.
And again, why we still have not seen an Ubisoft game on Pro still, it baffles my mind. It's
Well,
crazy.
a lot of people on Twitter have been saying to me that Ubisoft games, they believe Ubisoft games ain't going as pro because they've got Ubisoft Connect. So I'm in two minds, will it, won't it? But I really do think they should do something with this game.
Yeah, something. So did we cover everyone on here about this Breakpoint being a free-to-play game?
Just send me because I cut off again, so I'm hopefully everything is going to work here now.
Okay.
I'm not that concerned to being knocked behind pro. I know that sounds really counterproductive, but that is the standard practice in the other services as well. Like Xbox are having a free weekend, but you have to have Xbox Live. For me, it's disappointing, yes, but it's not, oh my God, this is absolutely awful. It's just common industry practice. So it's good that it is behind pro. I'm just going to ask you a question, Ace.
Yeah.
It's back to NBA. Would you be happier that they didn't update it and having the old rosters, or having it updated and having all the new roster updates?
So I'll be real to answer that question. Me, when I put on 2K, and I know a couple of my friends who are like this, is just straight to the park, right? So people play 2K is a huge game. There's a lot to do on there. There's the exhibition matches. There's the car, the park. There's so much else to do other than park. But me personally, when I play 2K, it's all about the park. So I really can care less about roster updates because I don't see any real NBA players, right? It's just about me coming on, teaming out with my friends, and playing against other online people. So I didn't even play one. Well, you have to play one game to get to the park in the story mode, but that's it. Never played an exhibition game like 1-on-1 or played against anyone 2K. So I probably wouldn't even have known about the roster if I didn't cover Stadia news. But that's how I found out. So realistically, I would rather have it be where they didn't update the roster and just have the park working, because again, the park was getting full. Until to see all those people go away, it's kind of a bummer. But again, people do play the other mode, so I can't be selfish on this one. But personally, that would be my take on it.
Are you sure they were players, or are you sure they went after images of you being in the park? Every time you boot up, it's just the same person.
I'm like the only one to park. No, if you look at my friends list, and I'll see if I can pull it up here soon. But like, 2K is the only like online game I play on Stadia, because again, I don't think they're that many, except from Destiny. Destiny's actually starting to get popular again, seems like. But except from Destiny, I think 2K is the only. So I do have a lot of friends, real friends, who actually play 2K holds, believe it or not. But yeah, that would be my take on it, Duncan, for sure. But again, that's just me. People have the preference, but it's sad because the park, it took a lot for it to get where it is, and now it's just like gone. So it's a bummer. Anyway, did we cover all of Breakpoint? Again, let me know if you have more questions about that, Duncan. But Hitman 3, right? It's a game that is coming next week for Google Stadia and Geforce Now. This should be, I think, the biggest game coming this January. So again, it's pretty cool to see a AAA game, hopefully cross our fingers, that doesn't have the bugging issues that Cyberpunk did, or still does, right? So again, AAA game coming to Google Stadia, also come to Geforce Now and Shadow. But let's focus on Stadia because Stadia is bringing a feature that I think trumps what is coming for the other platforms, which is state share. Again, if you guys didn't catch the GameStop interview on this, GameSpot interview in this, check it out. It's pretty good. And then Google did a blog post stating what Hitman 3 state share is gonna look like. Again, supposed to be a really big deal. But just want to check in with members of this panel and see, are you guys excited about, first of all, are you excited about Hitman the game? Second of all, are you excited about state share come to Hitman, and what impact do you guys think is going to make for the Stadia version of this game? So to get started, Jared, what's your take on this?
So I'm not necessarily excited for the game itself. I'm not a huge Hitman fan. I do respect the games. I think they're really good, but for me, I have trouble getting into them. However, I am excited to test it everywhere.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be the second cloud game coming to Nintendo Switch. That's going to be the first place I go to. That'll be the first video I put out. Will be for Switch. Then it'll be for my RTX 2060, and then we'll go into cloud from there.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to jump into that because that was fun to do with control and whatnot.
Right.
State share is obviously a fantastic feature for Stadia, but it just depends on the player base, how many people are playing these Hitman games, and how interactive are they going to be with that. Is it going to be something that's more popular to do state share with friends? I don't have any on Stadia. Is it going to be something great for streamers to, get more interactive and use state share for stuff like that? I think it's a great feature that I've personally not seen utilized very well yet. So I'm kind of skeptical. I don't know what to think of state share yet until I really see it being more heavily used in more games, because I think it's one of those things that for me, while I think it's awesome, I just have trouble envisioning it being this huge game changer, just something that makes people want to go play it on Stadia. I don't know that it will do that necessarily, but if you are playing it there, it'll definitely be the only place you can do state share. It is a feature I'd like to see come to more platforms, but while I'm saying that, I'm also wondering, will this feature ever even take off?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit confusing for me, but I'm excited for this game to come out and get into testing it for sure.
Cool. So do you think just because we start with you, Jared, but do you think this is something that, if successful with Hitman, they'll see other companies be like, oh, wow, we need to implement this in our game, so let's be mindful of bringing this feature to our game? Do you think Hitman's going to have that much impact on this?
I don't know if it will have that impact, but if it does, it's possible. If statistics show that state share are pushing sales of copies of the game,
Right.
then money is always the driver. So if it does help Stadia, if it does sell more copies of the game, then of course going forward, more developers will look at adding state share. Them releasing this feature is great, but now, like you're saying, we need to see developers make use of it. I mean, there's features that come out on devices all the time that we're like, that's so cool, and then it just disappears.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get used by anyone. And that's my fear with something like state share. Is it really going to gain traction? Are more developers going to want to use it? That type of thing. And I just really don't know yet until I see it. I think Hitman 3, and I think it's the other Hitmans as well that are getting that feature. I think it will be a nice a test to find out, right? I think this game is going to be the one that kind of gives us a better idea if state share has more of a future or not, more than any other game has attempted to do. Very much like Cyberpunk being great for cloud, I think Hitman could be a great way to see if state share is really going to have some traction moving forward.
Right. Good point. Good point. I think it's interesting that this is like the first feature game for this. They're really trying to showcase, and it's pretty interesting that it's a Square Enix game and not a Google Stadia game. So I think there's something about this game, I guess, like that attracted Google's attention. All right, we need to have this be the first game to really push state share. So I'm interested to see like what that is and why that, Google was like, all right, it's got to be Hitman 3. Anyway, should be exciting, but let's check in with you, host. What's your take about, again, Hitman and this feature?
See, I won't be picking this game up anytime soon. It's not because I don't want to play the game, it's just at this moment in time I've got too much to play. But I'm really excited to see how Hitman 3 graphics and how it runs on Stadia for being like the first AAA game of 2021. So I'm really excited to see that, and I really want people to jump on board if you really like these Hitman games and sort of invest, because I want more Square Enix games to come to Stadia.
Right.
And I really do, like, I agree with Jerry, what he was saying about Stage here. I really hope that people do actually come and use this feature. At the moment, I'm a bit skeptical as well. I do think it will actually die out at the moment if people don't jump on board. But I know one friend of mine is really excited that it's getting Hitman 1 to 3 is getting it. So he's really excited for that. But to me, I was like asking him the other day, well, do you think other games in the Stadia library will actually get it actually once Hitman comes out? Like, that'll be the showcase game, and then out of nowhere, other games will just activate state share. So I want to actually see how Google will actually implement it in other games, and will once Hitman's out, will they actually say, "Well, state share's out now, upcoming game," and then announce upcoming Connect.
I've got a question for you here. Let's see if anybody remembers. What game has already showed us that they're going to put state share out?
Was it Outcasters? No.
That was my guess.
I know Dragon, the Baldur's Gate had crowd choice. It wasn't state.
No, it was a pro game, and it's not created because I am not counting that as state share. It was not that. It was another pro game. It was like hidden away, and it's, as far as I know, it is still in the game but hasn't been switched on as yet. When I say it, I think people will go, "Oh yeah." Does anybody want any more time, or do you want to put your misery?
It wasn't that one where you can rewind time, was it?
No. But you're on the right thing there. It is a platform game.
Pro game platform. I'm curious now. What is?
I was going to say it's the only platform I can mean that comes to mind is Addy and the Secret of the Seasons. Like, but it's not that.
It's not that. What is it?
Monster Boy. If you go into the save part of the Monster Boy, and if you push up, it says state share.
So yeah, so what I'm thinking is Hitman 3 will be the showcase, and then out of nowhere these games just activate it.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 and 2. Sorry, 1 and 2, right? It's already in the Play Store, and that's just gonna be activated, right? With state share. So yeah, I mean, that's a huge possibility.
And also, like I was saying, I want them to actually, once Hitman 3 comes out and people are jumping into state share, I want the momentum to carry on. So I want a direct or Stadia Connect straight after this week to actually saying, and look, here is more games that support this feature. I don't want to wait months before we actually hear about another state share game. I want the momentum to keep on going from Hitman 3.
That's a good. JP, what were you going to say about Hitman state share? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just agreeing with everyone. And,
okay.
I was just saying. I guess I should just give my piece then.
Go ahead.
So I'm excited for Hitman 3. I got into Hitman 1 and 2 thanks to Stadia, and I've never really been into the Hitman games growing up, but then, as of the recent ones, I really liked the design and the look and feel and whatnot. So yeah, I'm excited for Hitman 3. And for state share, I think it's a really cool feature. And if they do it right, it can go really far. Imagine state share on Cyberpunk. Imagine, state share on something like Monster Jam Steel Titans for people like, Stadia Vet Gaming who are into that game. Imagine, state share in games like Assassin's Creed Unity. I know that's Ubisoft, but just imagine what it could do. So I think if they do it right, it's a feature that can go really far. One of the ways that I feel it could really pick up traction is if, say a substantial YouTuber is having a live stream and is challenging his viewers to, to the same mission and whatnot within Hitman 3. And I think that would be such a great way to get the community involved. And with technology the way it is now, if you could even get that person and to stream it and get that stream in your stream, so you can show that the state chair is really happy. They're doing the same mission, they're doing the same challenge, trying it a different way, which is the whole purpose. And I think that's why they're fully launching state share with Hitman 3. Hitman 3 is one of those few games that has so many different options to complete a mission and a challenge. So stage share, the whole purpose is to capture a moment and challenge others to see how they would take on that moment and what other options they would go about. Why would you choose any other game other than Hitman 3 for that kind of feature?
Cyberpunk.
No.
Exactly. And this is the reason why I think Cyberpunk would be great for that feature. Everyone is playing the game 100 different ways. There's 7 different endings or so. So a lot of the times, especially what I see in Discord, are people saying yo, have you played this?
Yeah.
Have you done this mission? Have you seen this? And more often than not, everybody's saying no, I haven't experienced that. I'm over here doing this. Right. And so imagine being able to share a storyline or a mission from Cyberpunk that nobody else really got to play because they went a completely different direction in the game. And now they get to try it for themselves because they might not experience it otherwise, because even if they replay the game again, they might do a whole totally different life path. So that's just my take on it, and how I feel. But I feel like there's so many great games on the Stadia platform that state share can really take advantage of.
Yeah.
But as always, like how we saw with Cyberpunk, word of mouth is going to be necessary. With Cyberpunk working so well on Stadia, word of mouth helped grow the platform. Same with the partnership of GOG and Geforce Now. So word of mouth of state share needs to be people streaming it and getting their communities involved using it. That's how I feel like it'll take.
Okay, good point. But Duncan, I heard you saying no.
Before Stadia was launched, there was one feature which I was looking forward to the most, and it is state share. State share for me is the feature which is going to make Stadia go places. But it all depends on the games. And for me, there isn't actually any good games which
I was going to say, what games would you?
The closest one for me on the platform is Enter the Gungeon. What you want for Stadia is roguelikes, because you get a YouTuber, you get Northern Iron. Has everybody heard of Northern Iron or somebody of that ilk? And you go, here's my seed of the day, bang, play along with me. And that's how you go. Just click on and play. This is where Stadia is going to go absolutely places if they get the right games in to showcase it. And for me, Hitman is going to have an audience, but I don't think it's going to be a game which pulls people to the platform for state share. I think what they need is a game which is a daily game, which people play daily. You've got a load of good YouTubers out there who play games on a daily basis, and they could drop the link in and go, this is where Stadia is going to get their viral game because of state share. And it's going. State share is my number one feature I've been waiting for, because I just see the potential in this. And we've also got that game who is a Q Games is making their game 100% around state share. It hasn't got a name. I think it's from Q Games, which was during the GDC talk. And just before Christmas, they were talking, it is coming soon. So that is one to keep an eye on. It's state share. Yeah, if they don't use it, it is just going to get forgotten about. They just have to get the games in to actually showcase it, and that is what's going to be the big issue here. And yes, Hitman isn't a bad game to get it in, but it wouldn't have been my first choice. I would have had a roguelike, and I would have signed up YouTubers up to go play this and demonstrate state share. But then again, you need the games which they're going to play to do it. So it's chicken and egg. But it is a good point, which I forgot about earlier, and it was called out on Twitter. Hitman 1 and 2 will be having this as well because it's going in that whole big package.
Right.
So, and that is on Pro. So what they really need to be pushing is the Hitman 1 and Hitman 2 state shares.
That's true.
Over the Hitman 3 ones, because people aren't going to pay the $60 to buy it on multiple platforms.
Right.
So, but state share, I have high hopes for it, but will Stadia actually follow through on it? That is going to be the big thing. And the way they're going to have to do it is they're going to have to open their pockets up to get the games on the system to actually showcase it, and open them up to get the YouTubers on it, and not have it a one-off, have it a whole series of games of doing it, not just this one game you can join in the state share. It will have to be like a season of content.
Can I add something real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I agree with Duncan. That was actually one point that I forgot to make. Hitman 3, to me, if you want to really launch this, is not the game to do it. Conceptually, yes, it makes sense. You know what I mean? And that was the point I was trying to make. But I agree with Duncan that the only way for it to take off is having substantial people playing this game. But they cannot rely on this game for state share to take off. They really need to follow up with other community hard-hitting games. And I say it that way because when you say something hard-hitting, it's like, oh, top AAA games. Like, that's not necessarily what I mean. Hard-hitting as in the games that are being played by the community, and put that feature there in front of their faces so that people know, okay, state share works in the game that I play, that I love, that I like, and it makes sense, and I can challenge people and blah, blah, blah. So I agree with Duncan. Hitman 3 is not the bank all, but it is a good launch for it.
I think, like, go ahead, Duncan.
I was going to say 4 games I would go for. Slay the Spire. I absolutely love Slay the Spire. I could talk about Slay the Spire all day. Monster Train, Binding of Isaac, even though it's old.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And Chess, because Chess is big. Chess is big on and multiple.
That would be a good choice.
So I remember Mortal Kombat wasn't there like a state share beta for it, or I think I experienced that when I was at GDC, not GDC, PAX West, before Stadia released. I think they were demoing that feature for that game at that time. So that might be another game that turns it on, because I know that they have talked about and used it to kind of beta that feature. So again, that might be another game, but I agree with you guys. Hitman 1 and 2, right? The fact that it's available for pro members, and what way to showcase this by, like, people just using the YouTube, the Stadia streaming YouTube feature, right? Okay, here's pro game, you have it for free, you can stream it, and then you can showcase state share with Hitman 1 and 2. So again, they have a good way to market, if they want to. So we'll see how this all plays out. Personally, I'm not a Hitman fan because I can't run and gun. I'm all about run and gunning. If you give me an option to run and gun, I'm gonna run and gun. Stealth is just not for me. But so this is not gonna work. But I will give it a try though.
It's just what you said there about a YouTube video. That is why I believe the roguelikes are a much better choice, because you can set the seed up before you even start to play. You can go, here, this is what the game I'm going to play now, bang, state share. While in Hitman, it looks like it's more going to be situational rather than from the very, very start of the thing. And I think it would work better in a roguelike.
Sure. I mean, I didn't think of that, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. it would be interesting to see like how this plays out. Again, like Jerry was saying, this game, if this game does well, potentially other games can follow. But if this game doesn't do well, this might, be something that tanks. So hopefully it does well enough to gain traction and get other devs excited about this feature. But it would have been nice, sorry if I'm talking, it would have been nice if Stadia would have got a first party game to showcase this off and really target the game around this feature, because I feel like with Hitman 3 they just finding ways to kind of implement it. But again, I know Stadia is new and it's going to take some time for them to get a game out like this, but I guess we'll have to do a Hitman for now, but we'll see.
A feature that I want to start seeing this year, and I hope it comes, is like you can buy a deluxe edition of Hitman 3 and it comes with a soundtrack and digital extras. I wouldn't mind having a tile appear that once you buy this deluxe edition, a tile appears on our Stadia user interface and there is the soundtrack. You click on it and it plays the music, and then that soundtrack is tied to our other Google services, Play Music, YouTube Music, and stuff like that. I want Google to start incorporating it, because I don't want to go out of this ecosystem to redeem a soundtrack. I'd rather just have it there where I can just go on my phone or my Chromecast and click this tile and it'll play the soundtrack.
True. They have the ecosystem to do it. YouTube Music, YouTube. I mean, that I think we'll see that though come, down Stadia's life cycle. But yeah, that'll be great. That'll be great. Did we cover everyone with Hitman and State Share? I do want to move on to Cyberpunk 2077 1.06 patch. Feel free, panel, to hop in if I didn't cover you, if you have something else to say about Hitman. But Cyberpunk 2077 got the 1.06 patch for Stadia. Some of the improvements, again, haven't really played this. Tested out this patch, so maybe people who are on here can let me know. But it states that for quests, Dum Dum will no longer go missing. I don't know if I got to that quest yet, realistically speaking. For Stadia specific, improved driving mechanics for story NPCs while Visa Passenger, fixed rare crashes upon loading near endgame saves. Weapons should no longer get stuck using gadgets such as grenade. V should no longer randomly get stuck in a strong attack position, and V should no longer randomly switch to sprint while crouching. Fix the inability to reload weapons or use grenades and consumables. So those are the fixes for Stadia. Anyone played this game since the 1.06 update, and are you guys seeing any of these differences? So to get started, Dusty, what's your take on this update?
I haven't played it since the update yet, but I'm going to very soon. God, I love this game. I am. At first, I was a little confused, but then after reading what they did for Stadia, it just makes sense. When you put out updates, patches, all that kind of stuff, generally it all comes out the same time most of the time for all platforms, or different for console and PC. But when it comes out, they all have the same patch number and name and whatnot. So for us thinking that we would skip 1.06 and go to 1.07 or whatever the next hot fix is, I guess for me was a little silly to think. So it's interesting that we got it now. I didn't know. I knew that we needed fixes just like every other platform, but I didn't know that we needed the fixes that they had mentioned. But it's good to see. And even though it was later than other platforms, the fact that Cyberpunk has been able to run the way that it has compared to other platforms, I'm not really mad at the timing, especially because we know that they are slaving themselves to fix this game and get it going, for the foreseeable future. So I'm excited for the Cyberpunk community. There's a lot of people who were talking about this and were confused as well at first, and then after everybody read what the patch notes were, it just seemed like it kind of made sense to the majority. So I'm excited for the DLC that's about to come, for the big actual patches that are about to come. They gave us their roadmap recently, so yeah, I really love this game. Cyberpunk culture is just something I've always been into, especially within anime. So yeah, I'm just excited to see where it goes from here.
Cool. How about you, Holtz? What's your take on this update? Have you tested it out? Have you played it?
No, I sort of stayed away from Cyberpunk over the holidays because a lot of people were saying that they were encountering glitches that were affecting the game and the missions. So I guess that Dum Dum mission was probably one of them. So I stayed away until they actually sort of patched out all these problems because I didn't want to encounter game-breaking bugs or issues. So seeing it actually come now and it looks a quite hefty patch for certain stuff, I thought to myself, oh, I might dive in now because it looks like they actually are fixing stuff, which is a step in the right direction. But when I saw it on YouTube, I just kept on seeing all this like negativity stuff with all these situations. But a lot of people have been saying you can still play the game; it still runs very well. It's just that you'll encounter certain issues. So I'm in two minds: should I start after this patch, or should I wait until it's updated a bit more further, maybe when the DLC comes out?
Yeah.
Because I was really hyped for this game, but I jumped in a few hours and lost my save, and then it was all like, if you have a high inventory, loads of inventory crafting and all that, you lose your save. You do this, and I was like, oh, I just step back from it.
Yeah.
So, but I really want to play it, but.
All right. No, I don't blame you. If I lost my save, I would lose my mind, just being honest, right? So it makes sense why you took a break. But I do have to say, man, this game is great. And I hope that they patch it up for you or they fix it to where, you get back to, don't pass up on this one.
There's
So.
one that I really liked when I looked at it is car stability, because there was some cars that I thought was just slipping everywhere. I don't know if it was the type of car or is that actually a bug, but looking in these patch notes, it looks like they're actually patching some cars up as well. So that's a good thing.
Okay.
So it wasn't my bad driving. Well, that's what I'm blaming it on.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, just want to encourage you when they do fix things to definitely go back and check this game out for sure. Duncan, what's your take on this 1.06 patch?
I just find it a bit funny that Cyberpunk is the hero of Stadia. So it being a month late or over a month late of the patch, it gets a bye ball, while other games, it's grab your pitchforks and attack the developers for not bringing it in time. So that's my take on it, basically. Good, it's been patched. I haven't delved into it. I've just been a bit worried. As soon as I seen a game save bug, I just stopped playing.
Yeah.
I know this one has allegedly fixed it now, but I'm still a bit worried that I'm going to. I know people have completed it on Stadia and they've had no issues. I haven't really tried it again since then. I do have it on my list to go back and have another look at, but I haven't as yet.
It's so interesting how that bug really, I'm looking at Holtz, I'm looking at Duncan, and I'm looking at Mark because he actually put that game down and picked up Immortals Phoenix Horizon as well because of that specific bug. So it's a big deal. Again, if that would have happened to me, I probably would have been really pissed off and probably done the same thing. So I understand. But Jerry, what's your take? I saw you kind of nodding over there. What's your take on this 1.06?
Poor Cyberpunk and poor CDPR. I shouldn't even say poor them because there's so much hate going right now for CD Projekt Red, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
They're spending so much time having to fix the base PS4 and Xbox One consoles due to so many lawsuits and other issues going on around the world that resources for next gen are slowed down, DLCs are slowed down.
Yep.
So it's not surprising that this patch was a little bit slower for Stadia. However, it's not that big of a deal. The problems they fixed, I never ran into. I know a couple of other people that had with not being able to reload or use a consumable.
Yeah.
That's game breaking.
Right.
Because if you're in the middle of combat and that happens to you, it's over. Some issues with the cars or the NPCs driving cars and things like that were fixed. So it's definitely good fixes to come to the game. This was a good patch. On PC, it was a lifesaver because it fixed the 8 megabit save file issue. So that's no longer a problem, and it fixed memory management issues. So it's been a lot better on PC, meaning GeForce Now and PC. But I think it's good because they fix some of the game breaking issues, but I also don't know how widespread those really are, because I don't know if I'm just always lucky or what, but most of the time I don't have these issues with games. And I played Cyberpunk on PC, Xbox Series X, and Stadia, and never ran into a game breaking bug. Funny glitches, weird things where people would fly off into the air and disappear, or hump cars and do weird things, like really strange stuff. But nothing game breaking, and I still think that it's a game no one should pass up. If you're wanting to wait for patches, that's great. I think this was the patch. If you were waiting but you're dying to get in and you were worried about that save state or anything like that, I think you're probably pretty safe to go ahead and get in now. You will still run into some glitches and bugs. The developer recently had an interview where they said they expected this game to be ready for 2022, and they had to push it out, November 2020. So they were probably about 18 months ahead of even where they really wanted. I wish back in April 2020, they would have just said, you know what, guys, we're sorry, but April 2022, or whatever they needed to do. But of course, investors and everybody else, we know how it works. That wasn't going to happen. So I'm trying to take it easy on the developers here. I think this patch fixed most major game breaking problems for a lot of people. And they'll continue to make the game better. I think over the next 6 months to a year, you'll see it. And I would say any other game would be dead because of this, but because of the culture and waiting 7 years for this game, and because I do truly believe this game's amazing, I love playing it. It's something different than anything else I've played. I think it'll be fine. I think it's still going to have long term. We're going to get a bunch of free DLC. I don't know if it was going to be free before, but it is now. So, and CD's missteps, whoever caused all of those, ironically, their missteps for PS4, Xbox One were the best moves for cloud gaming, because we got, who knows, at least maybe 1 million people for GeForce Now. We don't know for Stadia. We got a bunch of people that were on PS4 and Xbox One dying for a place to play Cyberpunk. And they would hit up our comments, what is GeForce Now? What is Stadia? And we're like, we've been talking about this stuff for a year. Okay, you guys are just finding out about it, and they're playing Cyberpunk on Stadia and GeForce Now. And like, wow, my PS4 is trash. Like, these services are amazing. And a year or two ago, nobody would have said that. So it's amazing to see it come this way. I love what Cyberpunk has done. It's bad what has happened with the game, but I still recommend it to everybody, especially after this patch on Stadia. Don't really hesitate anymore.
Okay, so you're telling Holt, Duncan, and Mark to pick it back up, pretty much.
And I'm sorry if it doesn't work out, but yes.
Well, I saw on Reddit that this person actually put they've seen a 24% increase in Stadia joins up on Reddit because of Cyberpunk, and they're all going, "Oh my god, I bashed Stadia, but now I've played it with Cyberpunk and it's amazing." So that's not really an official number, but just because Reddit. But it does look like a lot of people have actually jumped on board. Because of them breaking bugs on last gen.
And I don't know who was in charge of Cyberpunk coming to Stadia, but they need to be in charge of more games coming to Stadia, because they had the high frame rate option off the bat, 60 FPS, just like we know we need, and it's the only way I play it on there, and it's fantastic. Valhalla has those options on Xbox Series X, but didn't have it on Stadia. If they had that high performance option on Stadia, I would be playing Valhalla there, because my save game is everywhere. But with the 30 FPS, I just hold off. So whoever did Cyberpunk, excellent.
Now they're not going to do it anymore, because now there's high pressure on them now to succeed with next game. So they're like, "Hey, Jerry, you need to promote more games." I'm like, "No, that was a one-off. I'm not doing it again."
I actually forgot to bring this up during the Hitman discussion. This is what my fear is for Hitman this week coming up, is everybody's expectations are going to be through the roof. And if the next-gen consoles, I'm not sure if we're still calling them next-gen, are head and shoulders above Stadia's, what is the fallout going to be?
That is a great point.
I am just a bit worried about how that's going to be. And then the state share is going to get lost in the whole mist of, it's not as good as PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and all that sort of carry on.
And that's a great point.
I think we said only last week, didn't we, that we're not accepting going forward if it's not 60 FPS unless you've got high performance where you can toggle it. So.
Yeah. No, good point with the Hitman stuff, but realistically though, if, right, again, Cyberpunk is I think the best thing to ever happen in cloud game, but think about this, right? It was successful. It brought a lot of current gen users to cloud gaming. If Hitman comes out and, performance wise, it's on par with next gen consoles. I mean, runs it better than current gen, but on par with next gen consoles, give you the option of performance mode and has state share, and state share is good. I mean, that just continues the momentum that I would just go as far as to say Stadia is the place to play games, because again, it did that for Cyberpunk, and here comes Hitman with a better performing than current gen and features that even next gen consoles don't even have. This can be, and again, if Stadia markets it, properly, this can be a big thing for Stadia. For sure. It's like 2 AAA games come back to back, and Stadia is one of the best places to play it.
Yeah,
But
that's what's going to be really interesting this week. Is it going to be in the ballpark, or is it going to be nowhere near? If it's, if I think we're going to have a lot of the things to discuss later on in the week. I think you guys are going to be busy all doing your comparison videos, which is going to be fun to see.
yeah, it's going to be insane. But yeah, it should be really, really fun. Hopefully the game is good. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, Dag, where I kind of lost track on what we were even talking about, but yeah, again,
We wound up back on Hitman, but we were on Cyberpunk. We were
we were talking about the patch. There we go. Did we get everyone with the Cyberpunk 1.06 patch? Yeah, we did. All right. So let's move on to another game that kind of got a release date for Google Stadia, and that's Monster Jam Steel 2. We know that this is going to be coming March 2nd, 2021. This was a free, the first one was a free pro game, but just the base model is going to be 40. They're going to have a power out bundle for 60. Anyone excited about this game? Is this something you guys are like, all right, I'm gonna pick up? I really enjoyed the first one. Sign me up for the second one. And you guys just like, what's your take on this? Let's start with Holtz on this one.
Well, I really liked Monster Jam Steel Titans when I tried it, because I've never really played a monster truck game before, and I loved like the carnage and all that. But when they've announced the second one, I don't know how much they've improved it from the first one.
Right.
So I have to step back first and say, if it improves graphics, gameplay, and have some Stadia features, yeah, I'll be jumping in straight away if the price is right. If it's not, I'm going to be one of them people that go, oh, there's not much difference. It's going to be a pro game.
Right.
I don't want to be like that, but I really want to be psyched for it, should I say.
Okay. Jerry, what's your take on this one?
I know Duncanstein down there. We're both thinking pro game. The first one was pro, and I am excited for this to come to Stadia. You guys know I liked the Monster Jam. When I saw Steel Titan coming to Stadia, I said yes, because they had nothing like it on the platform for kids and adults alike. And I love those games. I have them on Xbox. I got that as the pro game. I will definitely play this game, but it'll be in a couple of months, few months when it goes, a few months after release, probably it will go pro or be heavily discounted. I just kind of know that, so I'm going to wait, but I am super happy to see it come to Stadia.
So the price of $40, do you think that's reasonable for this game?
I will pay it in other places, but I have learned my lesson. I have bought too many games for 20, 30, 40 bucks on Stadia, and 2 or 3 months later it went pro, and I was like, and I didn't even play it. Like, I bought it, played it for 5 minutes, and I was like, I could have waited.
Yeah.
So I'm getting really smart when it comes to Stadia about what games I should grab and which ones I should wait for. If it wasn't going pro, like if they came out and said absolutely, like the next year it won't go pro, I'd probably buy it.
Yeah.
But if my gut is it will go pro 2 or 3 months after launch,
Right.
or heavily discounted, like $19.99 or $14.99, then I'll probably wait.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be fun. I love these games. So either way, you're good. Don't hesitate to buy it if you don't, or if you're a free member, it's a good price. So if you're not going to get a pro game,
That's true.
It's a good price for anyone who's a free member.
True. All right, let's get to Duncan. I saw a lot of head shaking in this one. What do you think of it?
I am actually looking forward to this when it goes pro, because it's adding multiplayer. So that is the big thing on it now. So with the Madden multiplayer, I think that's going to have a load of people in playing for get-togethers and just having a laugh with their mates and whatnot. But I am not buying this game. It is 100% wait for Pro when that comes.
Okay. We should like make a series, the Wait for Pro Games type series, because that seems to be a theme here.
We've been conditioned. It's Stadia's fault.
Yeah. True. Dusty, what's your take on this game? Are you excited for it?
I think I'm gonna wait for Pro.
Okay,
No.
there we go.
No, it's a good game. I played a little bit of the first one, so the second one with multiplayer, I'm actually excited for. I want to try that myself with GTP. See how that goes. But that's his rapper name. Anyway, so I don't know. This is just me. Like, sell the game for whatever price you want to sell it for, but put it on Pro at the same time. Day and date release type of situation, just because it's one of those games where I don't know how big of a following it's going to have. I don't know how exciting it's going to be for the masses, but if you put it on Pro when it drops, it'll give more people the incentive to play it. I don't know if you want to do that as like a timed exclusive, and then in the hopes people buy it after it's not on Pro anymore. But that's just kind of how I see it right now. The minute it drops, it should be on Pro. Make the game $40, make the Power Out bundle or whatever it's called, $60, and go from there. I don't disagree with the price, especially considering what games are going to cost very soon, as far as PlayStation is concerned. So, and how that's going to affect the overall market. So $40 for me is not bad. I mean, I bought Skater XL. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge Skater XL head. That game is like my everything. And I bought that game for $40, and I wouldn't change anything about it. So the price is fine, but it needs to be Pro. I don't think it should wait for Pro. I think it should just go Pro.
So we thinking like more go like what in Rocket League done for PlayStation 4, just add it as a Pro, and it maybe incentivize players and purchases in the long run.
Yeah, especially in like Game Pass too. With Game Pass, you have these day and date releases that, like Forza Horizon 4. You can buy the game for $60, or if you have Game Pass, you can play the game for free. At the minute we drop it. Stadia Pro needs to start doing the same thing, especially considering there's not a lot of free-to-play games. Like, I think it is absolutely ridiculous at this point. There is only 2 free-to-play games. That I think I understand. I agree with Duncan. I understand why. I just still don't agree with it. So for me, at least put it on Pro and start doing this with more games on day and date releases. If you're not going to be a Pro member, you can buy the game, but if you're a Pro member, you'll get the game for free, or not for extra.
Right, they do that with their first party games, though, right?
Yeah.
The Optimus Die, the Kratos, So you're saying they should do it with third party games instead of just only first party?
Just more games that more people are more likely to play. Because I understand Krata, but how big is the player base for Krata?
I think you could say that. I'm going to be harsh here. I'm going to get shouted at. You could probably say, what's the player base for most of the Stadia games there? I've said it. I'm going to be
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I was thinking exactly the same. Like, because maybe I would step back and go, well, maybe I want one of my games to be Pro. So say I want to increase player base in Mortal Kombat. So I'm like, well, I don't want Steel Titans 2 to be a Pro. I want Mortal Kombat. So I guess we'll all be divided on what games we think Google should push.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I do agree. I see what you're talking about. I do agree that Google should step out more to get other third-party games. Maybe not like AAA games like Hitman, but you saw what Sony did for Rocket League, right? I mean, they put that game on the map. That game was, and also they did it for Warframe as well, even though that's a free-to-play game. But Rocket League's a good example. That was a free PSN game per month, and it gave people an opportunity to test it out. Maybe Google should take that approach to really seek out really good indie third-party games and showcase that instead of only having, you know, well, in a way, it sounds like they're doing that with the like, the studio branded games,
Yeah.
because they are technically approaching third-party devs to create games, like Submerged, but then put the Stadia studio logo on it. So in a way, it's like they're doing that already, but with a different approach, I guess, right?
But I'm going to give Stadia their due here. They've actually put a big game on Pro this month, but it's just getting overlooked and it hasn't been hyped up at all. An F1 2020. That is an
That game is
absolute.
incredible for a pro
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
There is a massive esports league in that as well, but they haven't been really promoting this out there because it could be. I better choose my words right here. They could be out there promoting it. I was going to say a different word there. I'm not sure if I was allowed to. They should be out there really pushing that really hard. That is a pro game this month. Come and play it here, and maybe have like a wee 5,000, 10,000 esports league for like a couple of months to actually promote it. They could be doing lots of wee small things to start pushing this out, because you would get a number of these guys, if they could see they could win some money, they would start going over the Stadia and go play it on Stadia here. Oh, this is faster loaded than the PlayStation. This is faster loaded than the Xbox. There's just so many simple wee wins they could do if they started thinking slightly bigger. I think they're still a bit narrow-minded in some aspects, but there is a lot of potential here. They don't need to get a load of big games onto Pro. They just need to get a load of maybe semi-exclusive games that Microsoft are doing. I'm not sure if we're going to be talking about Microsoft's announcement for the year, where they have gave their whole list of all their exclusives, which they have got announced, and I forget how many there is. You may not like them, but they are exclusive games, but they're not all AAA. There's indie games there, to mid-tier ones, to the big Halos and such like. Stadia does need to get a mixer, and they need to put their hands into the pockets and actually bring them. One of the big games coming out this month for the Xbox is it's gone out of my head. The Medium. That's the one which is it's getting a lot of
scary,
and it's getting a lot of hype there, and it's not a big AAA game. It's a mid-tier sort of thing, and Stadia should be actually going out there and trying to get them interesting games and putting them on the Pro, because that will get people to do it. Because it always comes back to content. I'm not sure if anybody else seen the news of the week. Speaking of content, I getting this in sideways here. It looks like Google and Amazon are actually going to be spending the cash to get some big publishers in. Brad, what's his name? It just went out from me. The Microsoft guy has put a video out there, and he's hearing that Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are looking to do some big acquisitions, and this is exactly what Google actually needs to go out and do, along with Amazon.
Right. No, they see that. They see that Microsoft is not playing around with that Bethesda acquisition, so I'm sure they're gonna open the wallets, right? And again, this is why I say my biggest fear and concern for Sony is these three companies have the wallets to pretty much shake up the gaming industry, right? So again, I can totally see that if they just go off the just
I've seen a lot of hate for with that Indiana Jones. A lot of people saying just going to Xbox, and everyone's like, that's unfair. Microsoft's just throwing money around, buying everything. And I'm like, so what? If they got the money, let them splash it and buy the studios and do their investments. And if it has to knock PlayStation down a few pegs, I'm like, go ahead, go and get the studios, then get the games, and it'll actually rise up their services and platforms.
Yeah. To me personally, I'm not a big fan of it. I like competition, and I don't know. I don't like the fact that we wouldn't be seeing Bethesda games and Stadia moving forward, even though some people want to think that we're going to see like the next Doom after this acquisition. It's not going to happen, realistically speaking. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we're I don't like how just one company gets the exclusive right to that. I like when they can be competition. Okay, bring it to this platform, that platform, whichever platform runs it the best is going to be where people go to play. So I'm kind of I don't want that to be like the industry standards moving forward, where these companies are just buying other devs. It's not good for the consumers, realistically.
It's not good for the consumers, but that is the way everything is going, and
It
it's not.
is. It is.
And the one which everybody is sleeping on most of the time until they until they do like big ones is Tencent. They are just snapping up people left,
They
right,
are.
and
They
center,
are.
and their cloud offering is actually expanding. I know it hasn't got into the West here at the moment. More or less, it is a way out in front and over in the eastern markets there, and has affected Stadia because they have bought up splash damage, which people have forgot about as well. So iCasters is now really a Tencent or so. There's
It's
so much going on.
It's crazy. But yeah, when they make their way to the West, people don't realize who they are, but they definitely can shake things up too. So,
well, I hope when Tencent come to the West, they actually bring a lot of games localized. I want localization of these games because I'm really interested in Eastern cultures, and I don't want to hear about these brilliant games that are not coming to the West. I want to hear about these games. I want to be interested in their culture, their lore, their folk. I want to see all that.
it's true.
So
Go ahead.
Before we go too far, you popped up a question earlier that I really wanted to make sure that we just kind of hit on. Was that, can I ask you all, what does Stadia/Google need to do to take off this year? AAA games are a must. Yeah, Activision. Also, will Hitman 3 have RTX enabled? So the fact that we got that question, we kind of need to clear that up a little bit.
Sure.
So I don't know what everyone else will say. For me, I've always been saying for Stadia to take off, you need exclusives. I think that, they're like the only company that doesn't have them. You need your Sonics, your Marios, your Halo, your Master Chief. I think they need something that really pulls people in. Exclusive,
like a mascot.
Yes, I think it would help, and those kind of games just really harping on the features heavily to make them really feel like Stadia games. I think, to me, that's a big one for them going forward. And also, we say it all the time, free to play. You need Spellbreak, Fortnite, Warframe. You need all of these. Like Geforce Now gets a little bit of flack here and there, but they have like 82 free to play games right now.
Yeah.
And whether you're a paid member or not, whether you're waiting in line or not, there's still that many games that you can go and play. Fortnite, even though people want to say it's dying, it is not. It is still one of the largest games, and you can't play it on Stadia. So those big free-to-play games, exclusives, and until we get those hardware upgrades, you will not see any games with RTX, unfortunately, on Stadia. And that's the big one that I know a lot of people still don't know where RTX is and isn't. Right now, RTX is PC, Series X, PS5, and GeForce Now. That is it.
So there was an article stating that I forgot what, but like Stadia can potentially run RTX, and the Hitman devs said that it possibly can be a thing. So
because there's a Vulkan version, a software version of RTX, and that's what they used for Crysis 3. And so there are abilities, but as far as true higher performance hardware accelerated RTX, they're not built for that. They don't have the hardware for it. But yes, there is a Vulkan software version of RTX that they could run, as far as I know, but it's not going to be exactly the same thing. I'm not sure what it'll do to performance either. I don't see Stadia pulling off 60 FPS with software run RTX.
Yeah. True.
So maybe that'll help with their question.
Yeah,
I'm done.
No, we'll see. It's going to be quite interesting to see, again, even if it's software based, which game will showcase it first. But I do want to we do have some shadow news, which I do want to cover. It's not that. Okay, so let's answer this question. Let's get the next person in this panel. Duncan, what's your take on this? What does Stadia need to do?
I'll do the easy one first. Will Hitman 3 have RTX? I'm going to say yes, it will, but not at launch. It will come down the line because of the interview they gave to the Falcon people. It seems to imply that it will be coming, but I don't think it is going to be there at launch. What does Google and Stadia need to do this year? It all comes down to content. I don't care if the server blades get upgraded or not. I don't think that is going to be the priority. If you don't have the games on the system what people want to play, people will not come there. And I think, unfortunately, this year, I think it's going to be a lot tougher for Stadia than it was last year. I think they had it easier last year because the competition wasn't out there. This year, the competition is coming right for them. They have Amazon going to be coming out probably swinging in a couple of months. You're going to have the Xbox having their blades upgraded. You've got PlayStation Now getting upgraded this year, and that's from the Square Enix people from their press release. So the competition is going to be fierce. So what does Google need to do this year? They need to get the games on, and they need to get exclusives, and they need to go out buying people. Like I said there previously, it looks like they are going to be going out there to buy people. It is just content and content and more content, and they need to get the big hitters on there. FIFA, Madden, where are they? They're dead games now. They are dead on Stadia for this year. Unless they are pro games, no one is going to buy them unless they're ridiculously cheap.
Right.
Yeah. So they need games coming to the platform day and date and in and around. They just need to be playable, and all the games need to be 60 FPS because for 30 FPS on Stadia, we've said it before, just sticks out like a sore thumb. There's just something not quite right with it. So it just comes down to games for Stadia this year for me.
Okay. Do you think Hitman's going to have RTX?
Not at launch. I think it's coming down the line. Yeah. I think what we might hear is it is coming out. I forget the day, and then there might be a blog post that's they're looking to implement ray tracing in a couple of months or further down the line. I think it is coming.
Fair enough. So how do you answer this one?
Yeah, I always thought ray tracing was going to come, but not the Nvidia's RTX. I thought it was just going to be sort of some lighting enhancements, should I say, from Google's end or from the developers of Hitman. So it's going to be a patch, and it's going to be high graphic fidelity with a few lighting effects. I don't think it's going to be a full blown out what we're used to of RTX. And yeah, with Google going forward, we've seen this in the show notes, but actually one of the things actually came true. I said this last year. The only thing that I want Stadia to do is bring a native TV app, and they're bringing that. So that's me happy for the year to bring the native app to LG TVs, because I'm a big, huge LG supporter. And to see the likes of Stadia and potentially Geforce Now come to it, it's the step in the right direction. I'm a bit worried about games, not from the Stadia side, is because a lot of developers are actually sort of delaying their games, which of course they should delay the games if they need more time. But at the moment, I'm a bit concerned of what actually is going to come out the first half of the year. So if Google can do one thing, is please drop a few more pre-orders on the store. You don't have to give dates. Just give us like Q1, Q2, and give me a list of games that might interest you that I might consider clicking pre-order.
It's not a bad idea for sure. How about you, Dusty? What's your take on what Google can do, and do you think RTX come to Hitman?
Yet again, I agree with Duncan. I don't think it'll come upon release. I think that it will come later on. But then again, I don't really know. When it comes to the RTX stuff, I'm still like new to understanding how it all works and everything. So only time will tell. And what I think Stadia needs to do to step their game up, well, first and foremost, always and forever, their marketing. Like, good Lord. Even with improvements, it still needs to be much better. There needs to be some sort of overhaul, but that's just my personal opinion. And yes, games, content all day. Stadia already looks great the way that it does right now, but without the right games, none of that will mean anything. Once again, I think another thing that I think is ridiculous is Warzone is not there, Apex is not there, Spellbreak is not there, Fortnite is not there. These games that actually have a following are not there. And I feel like, yes, you're adding free-to-play games and you want all the monies, but you're more likely to get people to buy other games on top of that, or even join Stadia Pro by getting them to just be on the platform to begin with. I've had a few friends that I introduced Stadia to. They're fans of Destiny. They jumped in and they all signed up for Pro. They just saw the advantages of having the service. So yes, money, but at the same time, if you can put something on there that at least brings people to the platform to begin with, they're more likely to invest in something else a part of that platform than not. So let's see what happens. Only time will tell. But please, for the love of God, bring Warzone. Please bring Apex. It is. I'm just. It's just ridiculous, you know. But that's just how I feel.
What I mean by the money is Google needs to go out and pay people just to bring it to the platform. I'm not talking about
Yes.
you just have to go, here is an X amount of money, just drop it here. We'll pay the updates for the next 12 months, 24 months just to get the games on the platform, because it's I've said this before. Yes, we want every single game on Stadia, but it's not. You need to have. It's not about having all the games on Stadia. It's about having the right games on Stadia. And they're missing the big key ones. Are if you look in the top 10 sellers, yes, they've got NBA there, but they're missing for the European market. They're missing FIFA. For the American market, they're missing Madden, and they're missing Call of Duty, which is everybody, as well as Fortnite. There's just so many of the key games are just not there, and they are the trickle down to get other people playing.
Yeah. Sorry. Agreed. These are just very obvious games. I mean, even for FIFA, you have to also consider the American market. Like, it's FIFA is just a huge game, period. It's one of those things where you just look at Stadia and it's like, you guys are playing around right now. Like, you guys really are just a bunch of kids playing around right now. And that can sound harsh to some people, but as a consumer and a user of the platform, that's just how I see it. These are crucial titles that will draw, for lack of a better word, everybody and their mama to the platform. Like, telling all my friends, bruh, you need to get Warzone on Stadia, one, because it's free, and two, you can play this anywhere. Like, literally anywhere. You go on your trips, like, a lot of my friends, because of what I do in my other life, we all travel. We all travel the world, and a lot of them are gamers, and a lot of them use their iPads and use their Android pads. I'm with them half the time. So imagine just going somewhere else overseas, opening up your Shadow and opening up your Stadia and opening up this and that, and you're right back in the game. Like, come on, Stadia. But I digress.
Yeah. So for the sake of time, I do want to give at least like 10 minutes to cover Shadow news, but I would say personally, Stadia has been killing it. Really, they took a break come January, but ending of the year last year, they've been doing great. I would say just keep the momentum going, right? Marketing was on point with Cyberpunk, with the promotion. Just keep it going. Don't take a break. Like they've been just chilling lately.
Yeah.
Just keep the push going. But I would say free to play is big. We've all talked about it here. I think something to take note of, though. I think if Google can just bring it, they would. I think what you've seen play out here is, first of all, the devs, kind of like the opt-in program in Geforce Now, they have to say okay for those games to come to the platform. So you have them to concern about. Second of all, don't forget, like we talked about, there are other dogs, right, willing to invest money to get some exclusivity on your platform. So that might be going on behind the scenes, right? You have Microsoft, you have Amazon. They're probably pulling strings that we're probably not seeing. Because again, if you watch the interview, the Stadia team knows what people are wanting to play. And the fact that those games are not here yet, I'm sure they open up their wallets. It's probably, some stuff going on that we're not aware of. But I think in due time, though, we will see those games. My thing is free to play. That should be, I mean, Apex Legends, I know they're owned by EA, Fortnite, Epic, but some of those games have to. My biggest thing is like digital. What is it? The Warframe people. They're not owned by anyone. They might have a little exclusivity with Sony, but they can easily bring Warframe um to Stadia if they shell out cash, right? The fact that Warframe is still not on Stadia, to me, I don't know. Anyway, that's just my take on it.
But I was going to say, I'm a very bitter gamer, because even if they bring the Fortnite, they bring the Apex Legends, and Stadia does grow, I'll be one of the people on the fence that start going, okay, that's great, we've got free-to-play games, but how come no cloud services have got huge Square Enix, huge Capcom, huge Sega, huge this? And I'll be sitting there going, it's great. But I'm starting to feel like cloud gamers are going to more of a free-to-play aspect than actually getting the AAA titles. I'm the type of person that says, I am an old gamer, I've got money in my pocket to throw at developers that I really like, bring the games to a service, doesn't matter what service it is, off cloud, just bring it and I'll support it.
Right.
When everyone goes, well, the numbers will increase with free-to-play, I'm like, well, I don't really play free-to-play games. So there's got to be other gamers that are like me that sort of say, we're happy for them to come, but we're not going to play them.
Yeah. No.
But here's the thing: it's chicken and the egg. If there is no user base, the developers won't bring the games. The gamers won't come unless the games are there. And the easy win is the free to play games. It will just boom it out there. It is just really, really difficult. And yes, you hit the nail on the head there. It is about Google paying the devs to bring the games to Stadia, and again.
But if that's the case, Geforce Now had 1 million users when they had Apex and Fortnite, and it increased when they had Cyberpunk. So it looks like AAA titles does actually bring more people.
Yeah, but you had the free-to-play games to actually just play on Geforce Now. Like I said, it's not about getting all the games. It's like about getting the right ones, and the right ones. It's at this moment in time, the right ones for Stadia are Fortnite. FIFA, it's a load of these ones as well. They need the free to play games, and I'm going to say it again, they need Roblox.
I just don't understand what went wrong with FIFA and Madden, because has it always been the case that those games come on 2021, or were they supposed to come on 2020? Because if you look at their advertising too, they were showcasing those games, which would tell me last year that those games probably was supposed to be available. I don't know, maybe just trying to port it.
I think the game comes out September. Madden comes out September, then FIFA comes out October.
October, yeah.
No, it was the wording for EA was Jedi Fallen Order was coming first, and FIFA and Madden were coming winter, and then there's 2 other games coming as well at some stage.
Yeah.
But again, it's. I don't want to blame Stadia because it takes 2 to tango, so it's a bit of both here. I just don't think Stadia is that appealing to EA, and EA are giving it the Wii U treatment. They're a big partner, but you're not really at this moment in time.
Yeah, they're giving it the Wii the Switch treatment. Some people don't realize they didn't support the Switch for some time. I mean, Unraveled was one of the first games to come, and came out a year probably. I mean, EA is not supporting the Switch, and that's one of the hottest selling platforms too. So I think people are blaming Stadia, but I think EA should. They just I don't know. We always say the CEO just is not the smartest person in the world because, again, you should have easily been porting your games to Switch, right? Anyway, I digress. All right, let's talk about Shadow News, man. Again, they had a live session on Twitch, and they give us a little roadmap on what's going to be coming. So I'm just going to list some of those things out here, you guys, and then we'll discuss it. So dual screen should now be an alpha for Box VA. Chromebook is now compatible with Shadow Android app. This has been something a lot of people have been requesting, saying that the Android app, Shadow Android app, does not run well on Chromebook. So it looks like that should be fixed this month. ARM processor support come to macOS and Linux apps. Native support for PS5 and Xbox Series S and X should be a thing coming this month. Next month, it says microphone support for iOS and Android, and arriving soon, new storage system with more stable and reliable performance. So that's the roadmap that the Shadow team gave us for early 2021. What's your take on this? We'll start with Duncan here.
I've actually had a bit of issue with my Shadow this week, so I'm hoping this all gets ironed out here.
Yeah.
Good news. They've given us a roadmap. It gives us a rough roadmap. I mean, that's all what people really want is this is what we're aiming for. The one I am excited for from all them will be the dual screens. I have just upgraded to lovely dual screens now, and you can't go back. I've got them in work or when I was in work, but I've never actually had them in my home before, so it's actually good to actually have them. But I am actually looking forward to the dual screens on Shadow going forward. The other stuff, not much of a biggie for me. I haven't really had any issues with the storage. PlayStation 5 and Xbox controller is just I can't even think here. It's just you would expect that coming anyway at some stage, and the ARM support, and I think it's all good sort of stuff there. It's nothing really wow, but it's good to see.
Okay, how about you, host? What's your take on the Shadow News?
Yes to the dual screen, even though I don't use dual screens. I prefer to see if I was going to invest in a super ultra wide monitor, but even I know a lot of people actually do like dual screens, so that's a good step in the right direction.
Right.
I hope this dual screen fixes the issue where I can connect my iPad to a HDMI telly, and then actually I can have used the iPad and the telly as a dual screen touch, use the iPad as a touch screen. I hope that will solve the problem, because at the moment, if I connect my iPad due to HDMI, it just sort of just stays on the home screen and I can't use Shadow. So maybe this dual screen feature would actually classify the actually iPad as a screen.
Interesting, yeah.
So that's yes. And also, I have a 7-in-1 multi adapter for my iPad. So actually getting to plug the microphone in and it actually works in iOS is a step in the right direction. So all I have to do is take my tablet, maybe a microphone, and just plug it in, and actually I've got a portable PC where I can stream with the camera and microphone.
That's cool. Cool. Awesome. Jerry, what's your take on this news? What are your thoughts on it?
So the new storage system with more reliable performance. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but I definitely want better storage with Shadow.
Yes,
faster, better storage, and I'm hoping this means we're going to get a bump up from the minimal, because 256 gigs on the boost is still just like, you can't even at this point install Call of Duty, Cold War, and Warzone. You can't do it.
Yeah,
absolutely not. You have to have expandable storage. I have plenty of storage on my Shadow, but it's expensive, and to me anyway, $299 a month per 256 gigabytes is too much money.
Yeah.
By the time you get the amount of storage you want. So I hope that's going to change the amounts, not just the quality. Everything else is just kind of clean up, clean house, make things work better, get ARM working, Chromebook support, that kind of stuff. The dual screen thing is really exciting, especially for people who stream mostly from Shadow. However, I'm skeptical because a lot of people still have trouble getting Shadow to work really well. So now they're going to be streaming the ability for two screens. Boost may have a serious problem with that. I'm not as worried about Ultra or Infinite with their hardware specifications, but that P5000 on the boost, the 1080 equivalent with the horrible CPU they have, I'm very concerned about a dual stream, dual monitor situation from that. But I'm definitely interested to see what happens as that rolls out and check it out.
True. Okay. How about you, Dusty? What's he taking this shot in?
I'm excited for the dual screen option. That's something that I've been wanting for a long time, and I didn't know that it was something that they were testing until maybe about a month ago. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for browser support coming. Instead of just using the Shadow app, opening up my Chrome browser and seeing how it runs from there, and comparing the two. My question is, how are they making this work? Like, how do you get this to work? That's the one thing I've been asking myself, just because I'm so fascinated at having the cloud PC itself to begin with, and now having the dual screen option. It's just it's exciting times. Personally, I would like to see an overhaul of their live streams. I think that I love Shadow, but their live streams could really use some makeup. But other than that, I'm excited for what's to come. But one thing that I want them to try to do better on is how they manage these constant pushbacks. I know that there's no avoiding it when it happens, but you have people that have ordered so long ago that are still waiting for a rig, and yet you're having people being able to upgrade randomly. And I don't know. It's just got to be something about the activation process has to be better. But I know they're behind. I know they're working really hard, or at least it appears that way. So yeah, only time will tell to see where this goes. But dual screen support for me is the biggest thing. But how do they make it work? Somebody answer that question. Like, how are they doing this? GTP? Come on, tell me.
It's magic.
It's not going to be that dissimilar from a local PC doing it, honestly.
Yeah.
2 HDMI outs or a DisplayPort out and then an HDMI out. It's just that all of that encoding and separating happens on the GPU level and then some on the CPU. So like I said, I do have some concern on it, but it's not going to be that much different. They're going to detect your two screens and stream it that way. I would also like an option where when you have Shadow brought up in the app or in the browser, that if you didn't have two monitors, you could split your monitor in the app and show two screens. To me, that would work better than actually the
that
two
would be
monitors
nice.
streaming. Yeah, so we'll see what they do with that.
Okay. My other thought was that maybe there was like a secondary app that you open up and that acts as your second monitor. I don't. But yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool.
I would say overall, it's just exciting stuff. Again, for them to give us a roadmap, I will take it. I think it'll be great. Again, Google Stadia kind of gave us a little roadmap saying to have 400 plus games, but like be specific what's coming, Q1 of 2021. I think that'll be awesome. So shout outs to the Shadow team for giving everyone a little roadmap and what's to come, early this year. So we do have about 3 minutes left. Members of the panel, if there's something I didn't cover, fill in. If not, we can.
I'll tell you one thing. Sorry, Jay.
No, it's okay. I was just going to add in, if you want to know a little bit more, and I know this isn't exactly Shadow, but some people use Parsec on their Shadow. If you go to the Parsec website, they launched dual monitor support last year, and you can kind of read into a little bit more about that on their site too, even though it's not quite Shadow. People do use it for that.
There you go.
I want to start seeing some news that once Stadia comes to the likes of LG TVs, I want to start seeing LG TVs support multiple Bluetooth devices. I want them to actually start integrating. Can you actually get a telly into your TV? So if I wanted a live direct stream on Stadia, I can use the telly webcam to actually capture the input and stuff like that. I wanted to see how tellies will go forward actually utilizing native cloud apps.
How big is that news? We didn't, we didn't touch on that, but how big is that news that WebOS and LG TVs are going to be getting
So
GeForce Now and Stadia?
if the tellies are good processing, I would love them to run Stadia, capture my face, send my face on the live direct on the YouTube end, and then I can just be a streamer just on a TV.
For me, that news, I don't think it's going to affect too much this year. I think this is going to be years down the line. It's going to be like the Netflix effect, where Netflix being on TVs with just built in with the app. It wasn't the first year of it. It was the long term sort of thing. It's going to be a slightly longer play. It's going to be great that it's going to be there. Yeah, touch wood, I should be able to get it because I said they're guaranteeing 2021s and hopefully 2020 TVs. So hopefully I'll be able to try it out there. But it's going to take a long time for it to actually filter down to everybody.
But what really interests me as well, there's new prototype TVs and monitors that actually can go from curved to flat by LG. So I'd love to actually use one of them as a monitor, and then when I'm playing game, change the TV to curved, go flat, and it's got all the native apps on there.
That's cool. Again, my big thing is the fact that WebOS, Stadia and GeForce Now come to WebOS. Again, it's quite strange that went to WebOS first and not Android, but it looks like, wow, I wouldn't have thought WebOS, but now I've got so many video on demand services, so many music services, and now I'm going to actually have cloud gaming services all natively on my telly, so that's a big win for me.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, JP. What are you gonna?
No, I was just gonna add that the thought that I have in my mind when I think about the LG TV news, and even beyond that for like Android TVs, Samsung TVs specifically, is if there was a scenario, one person is going to buy an Xbox and the other person is going to buy an LG TV, and they both look at each other and it's like, oh, what are you're in the games? Yeah, cool. What are you buying? Oh, I'm getting the new Xbox Series X. What are you getting? Oh, I'm just going to get an LG TV. Oh, but do you game, right? Yeah. So what system are you going to get? Oh, I'm not going to get one. I'm just getting the TV. Just that comparison, obviously that itself will never happen. Maybe you never know. You know how people are. But the point is that comparison itself is what blows my mind.
Yeah.
I can just go get a TV. I don't need, like in my position currently, if I want to play 4K, I need to go get a TV and I need to go to get a Series X. Now I just go get the TV.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. So I'm excited for it. I think it's cool news. I think it needs to be pushed out more in front of people's faces. But yeah, I think it's wow. It's exciting times that we are in right now.
For sure. GTP, any thoughts on this quickly before we?
Oh yeah, we were talking about it earlier. Gaming has morphed into the world's largest form of entertainment, and TVs always change to go with what's happening. Netflix and stuff came out, TVs started having those on it. So it's a natural evolution that with gaming and with cloud gaming, they're going to start showing up on TVs. But what I was mentioning earlier was I still think, and kind of like Duncan was saying, give it 2 or 3 years before it's really saturated and making a difference. And also, all of those TVs are going to need to come with some form of a controller, because you want to break all the barriers that it will take anyone to get in and try these out, because a lot of people that are going to be buying those TVs aren't going to buy them for those services. It may be the first time they're trying them. So they need something to come with it. And then while you're playing Stadia or something, have a pop-up say, hey, you're liking Stadia? Order the remote right here. Click here if you want the best experience. But hey, we're glad you're enjoying it with the controller that came with the TV. So there's a lot of morphing going on. Cloud gaming is going to become worth billions of dollars over the next couple of years. So you're going to see all kinds of companies jumping on the bandwagon of having these apps and accessories for cloud gaming. It's going to explode over the next 3 years.
Do you think they'll sell TV bundles with controllers?
I think any TV that is going to offer gaming as its main thing, like LG is totally focused on gaming, both for console and cloud, it's going to need to come with some kind of 8-bit DO or whatever controller they want to throw in there just to break the barrier so people can try the services, order a better controller if they want to.
I just want to quickly say that I don't want them to bundle a controller in it, because I think a lot of people will get off-put. When they go walk into their supermarkets or high street stores, they're going to go, oh, that's a gaming TV. I don't game. And a majority of people will get off-put. But I would like the TV to work with marketing where you can redeem a free free controller. The controller
Right.
doesn't come in the box because it'll scare people off, but you can redeem
Oh,
a
yeah.
controller.
That would be nice. Actually, that would be smart marketing. You just put a little sliver pamphlet, in the box.
True. But fellas, we do have to end it, just losing time. But real quick, want to give members of the panel to just plug the channel and tell people where they can find y'all at. So to start, Jerry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, at Game Tech Planet for Twitter, and on YouTube, just go search Game Tech Planet. You'll find me there.
Cool. Hold, see you.
Holt's on Stadia, on any other platform. Holt's on YouTube, and Holt86 on Twitter.
Nice. Duncan.
And I'm just going to stir stuff up here. We don't even talk about Hailstorm. I've just seen that mentioned by Victor there. We'll probably do that next week, but you can check me out Wonder Escape on Twitter and Cloudy with Games.
Yeah, really want to talk about that. I wish we had time. Maybe members can. I'm gonna host the open chat tomorrow, so ask that question there. And members, if you want to hop on with me too, you can. But it should be good conversation. But yeah, Dusty and myself, you can find us here at CGX making videos. But guys, appreciate you guys. This was really fun. So much to cover. I'm sure next week with Hitman is going to be just as insane. So look forward to seeing you guys there again every Saturday at 2 p.m. It's a lot of fun just talking cloud gaming with this awesome panel. All right, fellas, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Till next time, peace out.
Bye.
Peace, everybody.